Get those Cybermen out.
Hi everyone, it's Shay here. Today I'd like to take you through my Blue Baby deck profile. So this deck it's done pretty well for me at locals. I ran it twice at locals. Once I topped, and last night came third. So went okay. I played this in the online TAC tournament over the weekend and just got my anus demolished, which was a great time. Baby's a really fun deck. I mean, it's fun to play. I feel like playing against it sometimes is like trying to play basketball with no arms, but whatever you're into. So I'm going to run you through the cards, my logic behind using them, and just have a general chat. So hit us up in the comment section afterwards if you have any thoughts or opinions. So let's roll. First, we've got the leader, the big boy himself, Baby. On his unawakened side, he is a auto draw a card, and his second auto there is also to start the game with Planet Tuffle in play. This sexy card here. On his awakened side, so his awaken is at 4 life, draw 2 cards. He becomes an Overlord. For those that don't know, Overlord allows you to place a card with the Servant ability at the bottom of your deck and draw a card. So happy days. Auto, when he attacks, draw a card. And he also has an activate main, because we like to put lots of text on cards for people to read, which is to go through the top 3 cards of your deck, look at rather, find a card with counter, add it to hand, put the remaining 2 cards at the bottom of your deck, and 1 card from hand to bottom of deck. So the deck relies a lot upon playing cards to bottom of the deck and activating abilities which allow you to play them onto the field from bottom deck. So it's important to consider what you're doing there. All right, so Planet Tuffle, the staple. This guy is an amazing card, which when activating a blue counterplay of 5 or less, reduces the non-specified energy cost by 1. It also has an activate main effect, which allows you to take a card from life to hand, and then add a card to the bottom of the deck, which is less amazing, but look, it's a self-awakening mechanism should you need it, or if you're scrambling for one specific card, it can be really handy. All right, so next we have the Overlords. So when I'm going through these cards for the counter cards, I'm going to just assume that they are under the effect of Tuffle and talk about them with that energy cost in mind. So I've got Baby, the Body Snatcher. This guy's a 1-cost Overlord that restands in energy when he comes into play, effectively being free. So this guy's a really solid turn 1 play, because you wouldn't have an Overlord in play. Your leader doesn't become an Overlord until you awaken him. So it's really important to have one of these guys on the field to allow you to, refill your hand with all the servants you'll be playing. So I run him at 4 off. See you, mate. All right, next Overlord is Baby, the Diabolic Parasite. So this guy, when he comes into play, and he is a counterplay, the first part of his counterplay is to restand in energy, effectively making him 1-cost counterplay, which is amazing. If the battle card being played has an energy cost of 4 or less, it is placed at the bottom of your opponent's deck, which we like, not this returning to hand business. All right, so I run him as a 2 off. One of the tricks of this deck, and probably with many decks in the archetype, is just balancing the Overlord to Servant. Baby's a little different to your Garlic Juniors and your Margin Vegetas, where he only gets it on one side. So it's just, it's quite delicate. Remembering that Overlord is a once per turn ability. Right, next, the Servants. So, Bulma. Not the greatest card in the game, but it can be quite fun to play this turn 1 versus a Broly swap player to bounce the start of their chain back to their hand. So this little girl, player, she's a servant with base of 5k, servant bring her up to 15. Counterplay, so you can play her when any battle card's being played. And she bounces a battle card with a cost of 1 back to hand. Right, so 2 of her. Next we have Bulla, Baby's minion. So I run Bulla at 4 of. Very solid card to beat your opponent with. She's a 5k servant that counters an attack and comes into play. Enough said there. Alright, next. One of my favorite cards is Son Gohan, Baby's minion. I run him at 4. So he's Baby's topper in a way. Coming out at 2 energy, becomes 25k beater with servant. His effect, when your opponent declares an attack, they must take a card from hand and place it to bottom deck. So a very annoying card to play against, and a lot of fun to play as a Baby player. Alright, so that's the servants and the overlords. Next, on to the other cool and funky stuff that makes Baby a lovely deck to play. Mechiorb. So this little alien bugger from the draft box. A free counter, basically, that is also a 15k beater. No servant, no no interaction there, but I mean, the value of the card is just amazing. Running him before. More draft box stuff. So we have 2 of the hit Deadly Vanguard. On your opponent's turn, he costs 2 energy, coming into play as a counterplay, sending your opponent's battle card with an energy cost of 5 or less back to hand, and also being able to bounce another card in your opponent's field with cost of 5 or less to hand. Doesn't ignore barrier, but such a good card. I did have him at 4, but I'm trying something different at the moment, so I reduced him down to 2. Old Faithful. So this is the only non-blue card that I run in the deck, which is the Hidden Power East Supreme Kai. This card in any deck, or the Champa even, just wins games for you. And, in a Baby deck, people don't expect it. When you play the SCR Hatchiyak and you give them, a nice 10k boost and double strike, it ends games. All right, the other Baby stuff. So this guy, it's probably one of the best cards in the deck. Amazing. So he's either a counter attack to negate the attack and play himself, or a counter to play the card. Important to bear in mind that if you use him as a counter, he does not stop the attack. Right, so his activate main, if your lead is a blue Baby, he lets you take a card from the bottom of your deck, and provided it has the counter skill, you get to play it in active mode. Happy days. This guy synergizes amazingly well with the deck's finisher, Baby the Golden Avenger, which we'll look at a bit later. I ran him at 3 because I found I didn't need 4 in there. I was able to find him pretty easily. So off to the side you go. Next, we have Vegeta ready to rumble. I run this guy as a 2 of. I wasn't sure about this card to start with, but having played it last night, it's so good in the way it just shuts down your opponent's plays for a turn. So the card itself, it'll cost you 3. It negates the attack and comes into play. When he comes into play, if your opponent declares to attack, they must place a card from energy into drop. He's also a blocker with 20k. Not a servant, unfortunately, or an overlord, but just straight out value there. I don't know many decks that will sack energy to be able to swing a couple of times. All right, on to the other stuff. So I've got some more draft excitement. Ultra Instinct, Son Goku the Unstoppable. So importantly, this card's skills can't be negated in any area by your opponent's skills, which is really nice. When he comes into, so he has a counter play and also a counter attack. The counter attack stops the attack. The counter play puts him into play. So sorry, both play him. The counter attack does not stop the attack. I explained that really badly. Anyway, when he comes into play, he can bounce one of your opponent's cards to hand and allow you to draw a card, provided you play him on your opponent's turn. So you see a theme here with the 4 energy cost cards. The theme revolves a lot around this guy, Son Goku, Path to the Infinite. A lot of you will be familiar with this card, which is a very good blue utility. Unfortunately, can be quite easily countered. For 1 energy, it allows you to take a 4-drop from the field, return it to your hand, and play this guy. Running him at 3. Come back to that a bit later. All right, the standard deck finisher is the Baby Golden Avenger. So this guy, if you can get him out, it's a pretty solid card. It's a triple striker with 30k. It is unique, so just bear in mind you can only have one of these guys in play at a time. One of the few cards in the game that, as a counter, stops your opponent's counter attack. This card comes in clutch when you've got your Unison activated, which we'll go through a little bit later. His counterplay effect, when you play him, if the battle card being played has an energy cost of 7 or less, it's returned to its owner's hand instead of being played. We already talked about the counter skill. When he's played, you draw a card, and then you get to choose one of your opponent's battle cards ignoring barrier and place it at the bottom of their deck. Triple strike as well, if I didn't mention it already. So just run him at 2. I haven't had no issues finding this guy at 2, and I'm perfectly happy with him. Alright. So we talked about the 5-drop Son Goku Path to Infinite. The reason I run this guy is just to give me options. When I first started playing Baby, it was pretty much bar a few cards, Cert 11 exclusive. I just struggled to finish games. So, you know, thanks to Team Cybermen giving me options here, I put these guys in. So I've got 2 of the Ultimate Spirit Bomb Son Goku. Old card. I think it's set 3. Yeah. So what this guy does, EX Evolve, place 2 cards from your hand in the drop area, blue Son Goku with an energy cost of 5 or more. So he's double strike, but the key here is your opponent can't activate counter against this card's attack. He also has an interesting auto. When he attacks, you can choose up to 5 battle cards from your energy area and combo with him. So again, this guy can finish games for you, especially in the mirror. You know, if you're playing against another Baby deck, depriving them of the ability to counter, again, yeah, it can just win the game for you. So I run him at 2. Reason being is that I also have 2 of the Ultra Instinct signed Son Goku. So this guy, the classic, costs you 2 blue energy to evolve on the top of a 5-drop blue Son Goku. This guy has triple strike, 35k. The best part here, when he comes into play, he bounces all your opponent's battle cards to their opponent's hand, and that's not a choose, so that's everything. It's going to hand. And his nice little permanent there, your opponent can't combo against his attacks. So a lot of decks these days are very aggro focused, don't run a lot of counters. This guy can be absolutely pivotal. And just, you know, against Sin Shinron, which likes to sit there and just build up its board, this is amazing. Alright, onto the other stuff. So we've got super combos, running 3 of the set 11 Vegeta. Every color has one. Bottom deck 1. Draw 2 cards, plus 10k power. Very good, especially in a deck where you're playing things from the bottom deck. This gives you options. Also run one of the set 9 Zamasu blue and yellow super combos. I did have this at 2-2, but I just found the Vegeta hand advantage, the draw advantage, more beneficial to the deck. This guy's always nice if you're, you know, your opponent doesn't really expect you to have it. Just being able to tap down their leader card, denying them swings, is yeah, amazing. All right, Unison. So I run 1 Unison in the deck, which is the Baby Unknown Parasite. I run 4 of them. So he comes in for 3 energy. You play him, you plus 2 and draw a card. I mean, that right there is quality. So you're sitting there with 5 tokens on your leader. His -5 effect is just amazing with this deck. So what it does, if your leader's mono blue, choose your leader card. It gets 15,000 power and double strike for the turn. But that's not all. Until the start of your next turn, you can activate counter cards from your hand by discarding 2 cards instead of paying their energy cost. So when you want to get that golden ape out to counter a leader attack, or, you know, to go for that kill, just absolutely amazing. So much fun. All right. The SCR just shuts your opponent down for a turn. You need 3 energy, discard a card to play him. Your opponent can't attack for the turn. Also stops the current attack, so just it buys you time. It's so good. One of my favorite SCRs out there. All right, so extra cards. 2 Desperate Measures. I had this at more, and really this is just for green players that like to play that field destruction card. Provided you get one of these in your hand, it can just prolong. It can keep you doing what you want to be doing as baby. Because if you lose that planet Tuffle, as some of you would have seen in my lovely little video of scooping after losing it, it can just be a different game. And you may want to run 2 or 3 Tuffles in your deck or side, provided that you can play best of 3. Also, being able to send a card back to hand, a servant back to hand, can be very nice. Mafuba at 3. Don't need to explain why I run that. It's just an all-around amazing card. And lastly, 4-dimension magics. Just best blue negate in the game, some might say. It's a self-awakening tool, and get that energy back up for you. My deck makeup will definitely change once I can get my hands on some set 11 promos. Who knows when that'll be. But yeah, that's my deck. It's constantly evolving, lots of fun. It'll evolve again with the draft box release with the silver bullets. So yeah, that's it. Thanks everyone for watching, and yeah, hit me up in comments if you've got any questions. Cheers.
Thanks for watching, guys. Remember to like and subscribe to keep up to date on all the Dragon Ball Super content. We want to thank Grand J Games for all their support, and remind you to use the code CyberMan5 at grandjgames.com for 5% off all your singles needs. Cheers.